Hello and welcome to Editing with My Wife, now with more work. My name is the Hooded Philosopher and I'm here with the Cheesy Loops.
Cheesy Loops!
My wife, my dear wife of 20 years.
Woo!
I love her dearly. What's going on with this chapter?
In this chapter, we see a change in power?
I guess if you want to put it that way.
I
think Nathaniel has some things left to say before it ends.
Yeah, Nathaniel has some things left to say before the end.
A lot left to say. No,
I know.
Not as much as lately. This should be a shorter one for sure.
This one will definitely be
shorter. It is the final one. This is the final chapter of this book. Epilogue. We'll talk more about that.
Oh, I was going to say, don't we have an epilogue to do too?
Yeah. This is the last chapter, though.
Ooh.
And if there's more story after this, it is not Nathaniel.
Yes. Yes, it will move on from Nathaniel to someone else.
A young lady named Sloane Grimhart. Well, she was Sloane Grimhart. She's going to learn why that her name is Sloane Grimhart. And why, and what's going on with her life and what happened. But there's a lot of questions in that character's past and in her story, and that's where we're going to go next. But as far as Nathaniel goes with this noble hero, this is where we leave him, isn't it?
Yes, this is his final noble words.
Why not just jump on in and finish it up?
I would like to hydrate first.
Hydration! Hydration is important.
Oh, a piece of ice got stuck to the straw. Alright. Hydration is achieved.
Strawberry flavored hydration.
In the end, doing good is better than being happy. After all the hard work and effort that Nathaniel had been tending to all these long years had finally come to fruition, raising many children with a kind of love that transcends humanity, enduring the gaping loss of his wife and all the other children that he had saved and kept safe from Sloane, the so-called divine, even allowing the risk of disillusionment.
The risk.
Wow.
Not just
allowing the risk of the... I said the risk.
You didn't say the disillusionment.
Oh.
It's a complicated sentence.
It is
a lot of complicated sentences.
There's a big word there.
There's tons of big words in this chapter.
Of his soul, the battle at Sloane's retreat.
The loss of his mind.
I think it's supposed to say something else there, but it's okay. The loss of his mind in Rokai's craters and the loss of his body in his fight with the tyrant god. He stood in front of the gaudy throne and took in a breath of the view all their friends had gathered around them, filling the massive hall as every person that could fit in. This was a momentous occasion. The boy was standing to his right, his face shining with adoration for the man who cared. The effective vial of mine was running out. As he reached in to grab a new vial now, the tears began spilling across his face. Thanks, Dad, he thought to Nathaniel. After all we've been through, who would have thought your words could save the world? Nathaniel thought back, smile beaming. Tresca was holding on to Nathaniel's left arm like the crowd was going to raise up and trample her. He glanced over the crowd. Naol, who was amongst the crowd, her flowing auburn hair making her stand out, even though it was her eyes that caught Nathaniel's first. Her smile was lacking life. It said to him, I'm sorry, I'm not saying goodbye, but I need to find my way home. She put the cloak over her head and disappeared back into the crowd. Okay. Nathaniel put his hand on the hilt of the ruined lion tamer. His other hand lifted the sheathed blade. He passed it off to Reveled. I was like, crap, how do I say this again? Reveled the Good. The obsidian sheath clanked heavily against Reveled's gauntleted right hand. His chiseled features, posture, and demeanor spoke gravely of the duty he was to hold. His hands sunk deep under the weight of responsibility he received from Nathaniel, the noble of wisdom. If you wish to respect me, I ask one thing. Honor the life of my dear Maria. She sacrificed herself to bring about this end for you all. For all of you. So the next time someone asks you where you come from, tell them telemaria?
Mhm.
Do it with pride, in her honor. Trust each other more. Treat the goodness in each other as real. Ooh. I didn't do that well. And it will become real. Let the few who reign be incorruptible and seek to display the same honor, discipline, and goodness the common man displays. On your worst days, strive to be of superior moral standing. On your best days, take no rest. Strive to be of superior moral standing.
He's not changing it. He's saying on your best day or your worst day, do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. For there is no rest if vigilance be required. And to be of superior moral standing, one must remain vigilant against the intent. Maintain vigilance. Thank you. Maintain vigilance against the intent to do harm, whether it comes from within or for the villains we will inevitably endure. After handing off the terrible blade, he turned to the crowd and addressed them directly. Guard over the institutions that are in place and seek out and destroy all traces of corruption before they have implanted the seeds to overcome the awareness of this new great kingdom. And lastly, love with more love and attention for all those that we have lost, and those who have returned, never let them go again. Let no divine, true or false, divide you ever again. He paused for dramatic effect. He steeled himself for what he was about to say. Let love rule, and it will be a just, kind, and caring ruler. No longer look to the rules of man or divine for the answer. Instead, look with eyes of love to your neighbor, your friend, your loved ones, and be sure they are looking back at you with the same loving intention you give them. He looked to Tresca. Her patient face stared back with gentleness. Her ears, on the other hand, were listening to him and feeling with him the urgency of his words. He continued, Let patience rule, and you will be heard with rapt attention. And take time to truly hear the needs of others. No longer attack the problem, but instead speak endlessly of the needs of your neighbors and your friends and loved ones. Oh, that's why, okay. No longer attack the problem, but instead speak endlessly of the needs of you. Neighbors, your friends and loved ones. Oh, I see. Oh.
I'll fix it real quick. Yeah.
I kept thinking it's something else he's trying to say. Speak endlessly of the needs of your neighbors, your friends, and loved ones, and they will speak of your problems. All will be heard as long all are patient. He looked to where he last saw Nael, tears welling in her eyes. If you let openness rule, secrets and lies cannot fester and rot. With an outlook of love and a willingness to be patient, openness will be the building blocks to a world without a divine or a king, without a ruler or seat of power, a world where everyone can have power if they want it. Build a world ruled by love, watched with patience, and guided by openness. Utopia will come seeking you. He looked over the crowd, taking in the unbroken attention of the masses. He spoke one last time. And to those of you we lost, in your honor, we must be good standing next to good, against the ill will of unwanted ignorance. With that, he disappeared, leaving the crowd speechless.
It's gone.
Can I have the drink again? Because that was...
Nathaniel cannot teleport. That is not within his set. So him being gone should be seen as strange. Even though in a world where you can teleport, not very hard.
No, there's a couple options why he did that. Or how he did that.
Mm-hmm. I know why.
You know why.
If there's another book, if I push this story further, it'll explain itself, I think.
So this needs to be not the boy.
Oh, you're right. It's so hard to fight the impulse to type it right.
I know. So she disappeared back into the crowd, and then he was able to find her crying eyes. Nael.
Yeah.
She disappeared into the crowd. How could he go looking back to her? Where he last saw her, and then she had tears filled in her eyes. So...
Oh, it's probably supposed to be his. Where he was looking back at where she was.
Okay.
Because he's thinking about her, the openness.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for that.
Did you spoke gravely of the duty? I mean, you definitely put in that weight of that responsibility he needed to take.
Because he's basically going to be the next ruler.
Yeah. Tell him you come from Telemaria. Do it with pride in her honor. Trust each other more. Treat the goodness in each other as well, and it will become real. There was a line I got stuck in, and I'm trying to find it, but there's so much. He says a lot.
He says a lot. What is his main message?
Good must stand by good.
I don't think it is. I think that's a part of his message. It's really just the last point he makes.
Yeah, I feel like part of his message is that...
That's more my message than it is his.
He's really trying to just tell people that if we take care of each other, there's no need for one person to take care of everybody.
If they work together, he's trying to set up a democracy in a way.
It's not a democracy.
That's not what we understand for sure.
It's not so much a democracy as like a proper neighborhood watch, but for the entire country.
It's different. It's different because there's magic, and the magic allows for extra or supernatural things to happen.
Yeah. Where
we can't allow for supernatural things, except for maybe in our probabilities. What was I saying? Oh, the magic will allow for something that we don't have the ability to do now for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
But it was in this one big chunk that I was having some problems with.
Yeah, he's speaking to a crowd. And to the guy in front of him at the beginning. He's talking to Rivulet at first.
Yeah, he's talking to Rivulet at first. And then he turns to the crowd.
Yeah.
After handing off the sword, so...
He hands away the power and then speaks to the nation.
So he hands off the sword. And Rivulet takes it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does this speech, but he doesn't have the sword in his hands. And then he says, after handing off the terrible blade, he turned to the crowd and addressed them directly.
Yeah.
So that the whole speech was...
It could have been said that first part was like while he was passing off the blade.
Well, I mean, even the speech could be considered as a pass-off, too.
Yeah.
He's doing something there. I don't know. I think... I'm not going to...
Let the few who reign be incorruptible and seek to display the same honor, discipline, and goodness as the common man displays.
Yeah, and it seems like, I mean, you think of it...
Look at our government. We look at our government, and those are the people who reign in America. And this is in America. I don't know if you're in America. But I don't believe that the government has any intention of letting those in power be incorruptible. I don't think they care whether or not the person is corrupted, the government. And that's a part of our problem.
It seems like they only do when the people find out about it.
Well, they only do when people start to realize that they aren't acting with honor, discipline, and goodness.
Mm-hmm.
When they're not doing the things that incorruptible people do. I think honestly what he's saying here is just as much for any nation, any group of people, any tribalistic thing that occurs.
No longer look to the rules of man or divine for an answer. Instead, look with eyes of love to your neighbor, your friend, and your loved ones. Don't look into... there was a comedian who said it. You don't look into someone else's bowl to see...
That's Louis C.K.
Yeah, to see how much
what they have. You just look to see what they're missing.
Yeah, you see to make sure that they have something.
If they need something.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big part of what he's saying here, except for I think he's being a little more perspicuous about it, in that he's also talking about the Because I don't think Louis C.K. had any intention of saying, look to your neighbor with love when he said that.
Mm-hmm.
He was just saying that if you're going to look, don't look to see what they have, look to see what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just, and that's goodness, good standing by good.
Yeah.
If you're doing that. If you're doing it the other way, it isn't.
Yeah, because you're trying to see how you can get more.
And you're comparing each other. It's not good. It's not good.
And
he's what he's making there. I mean, when Nietzsche said God is dead,
mm-hmm.
and we have killed him, the blood is on our hands. That's what he's getting at there. Don't let the divine make the rules. Don't let God give you your morals.
And in this world, it seems like it would be easy for you to see what your neighbor needs and to help them with it.
Yeah, completely
because
different.
Sloane set up a system to start that out.
Especially when there's no children to worry about. They are all home, housed, fed, and clothed.
Mm-hmm.
And only the adults who are not wanting to participate in the system are being pushed away. And most of them are just participating in the system, just like on every other planet.
But, I mean, you go to, if you need to cook, if you want some food and you can't make your own food, you go to someone who can.
And they'll probably take whatever currency you give them in this case. When currency is the substances that give them magic.
Right. And I don't think we touch on it really in this, but there is a personality type that can take the powder of creation to make more currency.
No, I never did it because that's Sloane. And if he ever gave that away, his whole
thing would
empire
crumble.
would crumble.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the kids who were used in experimentation had that kind of personality.
Yeah.
So that he could hide it.
But so it is possible that with Sloane gone, the drugs aren't gone, the substances aren't gone. They're able to still continue creating more of those. They have to figure that out, though. That's something they will have to figure out because it wasn't let out. If you let openness rule, secrets and lies cannot fester and rot.
And that last bit he says is straight from my heart.
If build a world ruled by love.
B-U-Y.
Yeah, the mouse is a little watched with patience and guided by openness. You should capitalize the love.
It needs to be one sentence, too.
It is. Build a world ruled by love.
No, it's a sentence should end right here, I think.
Okay.
It feels awkward.
If you do, Utopia will come seeking you.
And that's like, he's making a really good point there.
Don't focus on getting to Utopia. Focus on the love.
Focus on what gets you there.
Patience and the openness.
Yeah. The Utopia will come to you if you focus on the things Utopia wants.
Mm-hmm.
There's an interesting question about Utopia. What is that? What is it? Utopia.
That is a very good question.
Let's go ahead and look it up and see if there's anything in the etymology that's interesting. I love looking at etymology of words. I think that
it helps us understand better what
where it came from.
Even what they're trying to say.
Definition is the word I'm looking for.
Utopia definition.
A place, state, or condition that is ideally perfect in terms of politics, laws, customs, and conditions. Focus on the individual and give the individual love, care, or love, patience, and openness, and you will create a place where that is ideally perfect in terms of politics, laws, customs, and conditions. Mm-hmm. I mean, conditions is such a strange word to place there.
Conditions like keeping warm, keeping fed, that kind of conditions, like rain.
Yeah, hunger.
snow.
Ideally perfect hunger. You wouldn't be... No one's hungry.
Yeah. But you also have, like, weather conditions, too.
And oftentimes when I hear people talk of utopia, its impossibility is derived from the fact that they don't believe it can be possible.
I feel like one of the reasons why most people say it can't be possible is because in a utopia, most people define it as everybody's happy kind of thing. And
Well, ideal, right? And ideally perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I guess happiness is a condition.
But you look at people who, there are some people who want to be in power, want to have everything, want this or that. But in a utopia, they couldn't have that, so they can't have their utopia. And that's what...
If the world was ruled by love, the people who wanted power would give away their power to those who need it more.
Yes.
And in a world watched by patience, the people who need the money would be willing to go to the person who has it and talk to them and like have a conversation and work through it. And in a world guided by openness, the person would just do it. As long as everything came out to be worthy of doing it.
Well, and then there's no hiding. There's no, like...
No ill intention being hidden.
Hoarding of substances so that way you have all the substances. Mm-hmm. You can't have this. This is my secret stash.
Which would be really impossible if there are 4 artifacts out there that can dispense it freely.
Yes.
And only one of them is left that can actually do it.
The hammer?
No. River. It's Flow.
Flow.
Flow is an artifact, not a being.
The hammer's still there. The boy still has it.
Yeah, but nobody can operate it.
Oh.
Whoever Sloan said could do it, can do it.
And even with Sloan gone?
Sloan's dead. He can't say anyone can do it. It's locked.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It's kind of like if Tresca were to die. If Tresca were to die, the slip ring would not work. So with Sloan's dead, he can't allow Rokai to do it. And if you were to read River's chapter, River says, sorry, I keep calling her River. Flo says that he couldn't do that for her because she's a person in her own right. So she can still do it, but nobody else can.
But Rokai still has his artifact. I mean,
he has his artifact, but Sloan has not given him the right to. And it's because Sloan is dead. He can't do it anymore.
Didn't he give him the right when he gave it to him?
Yeah, but the power needs to come from him. He's the one that can do it.
Oh.
And that's the way he set up the system. So that way he's the one in control, but he couldn't do it
when River asked for this particular artifact, she inadvertently made a loophole for it.
Yeah. But it's also the loophole is protected by someone who is ruled by love, watched by patience, and guided by openness.
She really is.
So in the end, they don't have the power. So she can give it away freely, what she doesn't need.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still very, very prevalent, and it's still got one source flowing in. But I think like the Lystran Kingdom will see less of it because it's not flowing as freely, and maybe like Rokai won't need it. He'll start mining his mountains and getting resources from there for any reason that he can't get it.
Well, and the beautiful thing is too, Flow Force and Rokai remember the world before the amassed amounts of...
Mm-hmm. They were all adults, too.
So, they...
Because not even Tresca was an adult.
Could help... they could help get people into doing what they used to do back in the days.
Mm-hmm. And work through it.
Tresca
and if they listen to Nathaniel...
Tresca has a little bit of that knowledge, too. She may have been young, but she has a bit of that knowledge.
Yeah, well, Tresca's special for sure, and her relationship with Rokai changes things.
Yeah.
But you probably won't hear much about her in the future. She's earned the right to be done, having performed her thing that she needed to do for Draylin and to stop Sloan. She's probably going to start aging, too, along with everyone else.
Well, she has Rokai.
But they're all going to continue living.
Yeah.
Not stay the same age.
Right.
Rokai will too.
Yeah, they'll start aging again.
Yeah, they'll age together.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, that's it.
Has the Rokai. We have an epilogue to do, yes?
Well, yeah, but that's this chapter. Written on December 30th, 2023.
Yeah, but there's an epilogue. There's another chapter after this, technically.
Technically.
Okay.
The epilogue is actually more like... I mean, if you didn't like this story, but you wanted to finish it because you started it, the epilogue isn't going to be important because you may not hear about the rest of this story until next year, at the very least.
I see.
You know, so, and that's if I stick with this. I mean, I may want to just try something different again, or I may be doing a different sequel in January instead of this sequel. So, I'm not sure yet, and I would love the input of people. I'd love to hear what they have to say about it and what they think that the books next year should look like. So that's a ways away.
Yeah.
But maybe we're getting into epilogue territory. Thanks for listening.
Have a good day.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Bye.
Love you.